Hello. I'm filming in the mirror just because I have something to show you down here, but I'm also trying to get the microphone end near where I'm talking. Hi. I wanted to do some big watercolor paintings, so that's what I've been working on lately, and I'm trying to make that happen in a more strategic way. So I wanted to show you the sketches I've been doing. I've been using this big board I have. It's like I don't know what to call it. It clips paper on it. And this is a sketch that I think I'm going to work on today. I'm calling it flower harvesting, and there's all these little critters doing little flower harvesting jobs, and they go up and do these big flowers. Yeah, so that's my concept sketch. I did it on this big manila paper just using this pen. Ignore the fact I'm missing a nail. This is my favorite little felt tip pen. And I'm going to be doing it on this paper. I have to unpack it, but this is the paper that I bought for some bigger watercolors, and I think it lines up. Yeah, that'll fit. So I don't have I keep putting it in the wrong hand. I just ordered a light box, so it's like a panel that lights up. It was not very expensive. It's just a rectangle that lights up to do transfers, like tracing through the paper, but it's not here yet. And it's fairly sunny today, you can kind of tell. So I'm going to try and just tape this on the window and see if I can trace through. I don't know if the thickness of this paper is going to impede that. If so, this video is not really going to go anywhere, is it? I also have this other sketch that I did. I put this up on my story recently. This is like a Sunday market with little critters. This is going to be, I have a really big piece of Arches watercolor paper I bought, and that's going to be on this, but I'm not ready to tackle that today. I want to go baby steps in terms of doing bigger watercolors and try the flower harvesting. So I'm going to go do that in my bedroom because I think that's the best window to tape this to. But first I got to open this up and just see what it's like. So that's my plan for this video and this project. The little technique that I'm using here, which is not revolutionary in the least, is that I'm just taping this up to the window to use instead of a light box. I have actually since purchased a light box because though this was very effective, I did it up really high for some reason, and after tracing the whole design, your arms kind of go a little numb. So anyways, this does work, except unless you live in a place like I do where a sunny day this time of year is a little bit rare. That's okay. So we made it work. So yeah, I am using painter's tape. I get painter's tape at the dollar store. I don't know if you can, but it's at the Dollarama here in Canada, and I go through it a lot. So here it is. You can really see the design well through the window light. And this technique was quite easy. I am terrified of drawing straight onto watercolor paper. I do not want to do it. Do not ask me to do it. And I simply shan't. So I have been using this technique a lot. I've also been doing some sketching on digital, on my iPad on Procreate, because I do find that I like how fast I can sketch on there versus on paper, because I erase a lot. And it's just faster. So I've been then printing out just like a rough copy of the sketch and then using my light box and watercolor paper. So yeah, that's what I'm doing more recently instead of just going at it on the window. But this painting was actually very important in terms of developing the style that I am doing now for my collection. And as you can see, this sketch worked out really well. There are a few things that I do differently now with my painting after doing this one. I learned a lot, like I said. Also, I think I thought the microphone was attached to the camera for this first clip, which is why I was kind of showing products, but it was not. So in terms of what I'm using here, so pencil, I just use a regular graphite pencil. For my watercolors, I am using mostly Winsor Newton colors, but I believe the green that I use here, an olive green, is a Van Gogh watercolor paint. I am so into this olive green. It's my favorite green. I use it on every painting, and I decided to do the green layer first here. Now this is an interesting choice because looking at it now and looking at how it ended, I think I probably would have preferred just to leave the background white in retrospect, but I don't hate it. It's just that it's very uneven because I was using this small brush, but also because I chose to not do like a wash or something. I did the small details, which again, I think I needed to go through this process in order to figure that out. There are some things that you can be told, but until you actually do it, then it doesn't really stick. Another challenge that I had with this particular piece that was, again, quite a learning curve was the pencil sketch behind. So now I have changed my methods, and perhaps in a future video I'll do like an updated, you'll probably just see me using it, my methods for updated watercolor techniques. In fact, I think I put out my greeting card video that I did the little love geese. I put that out last week. I was doing sort of my updated sketching technique, which is to use a red lead pencil, first of all, rather than the gray graphite, because it blends a little bit easier with the tones that I use. The gray is really gray, and I generally don't use that color. But also a kneadable eraser. That has been a game changer because you just kind of, it's those erasers that are almost like sticky tack. You bounce that thing all over your drawing. You just use the eraser on the pencil and you make the lines lighter. Ignore me and the thing I just said. It will erase the graphite, but not entirely, and it makes it a lot lighter. Or whatever pencil you're using, doesn't have to be graphite. And that has been really helpful in terms of these watercolor paintings because I don't like doing a thick outline. Now, I'm gonna get ahead of myself a little bit here. When I was editing this footage, I'm like, oh, this is great, painting the picture. And then suddenly the footage just stopped. And I guess it's because it got so late. This is filming in the daytime. The second half of this video is filming in the evening and it's dark. I think I just got so tired I gave up on filming, and I'm not proud of that, so my apologies. But the whole painting of the critters part, I don't seem to have footage of. So we'll get all the detail about the critters and then you'll see the final result. Hopefully that is satisfying. But one of the things that I ended up doing was using a micron pen to do in some of the details on the critters' faces and some outlines. And I'm not super thrilled with how that ended up looking because, I don't know, I'm just, I want to find my own style and establish what that looks like, but it has to also make me happy. And when I add in those black outlines, it just reminds me of more amateurish work of my own. And I think I'm past that, but I'm still drawn towards it as a solution for saving a painting when I'm feeling like something's gone wrong, which is a very interesting observation, I think. And I wonder if other people struggle with that too. So I'm not unhappy with that, but I'm just being honest that is what was going on. I do think that the flowers on the top look quite pretty by the end. And I think this is where my gut is telling me that skipping that green background would have worked well because I do actually like the vibrancy and the contrast of the flowers on the white paper. And it's helpful to be able to look back at my own painting process like this and think, I didn't do a bad job there, but I would do it differently now. I did give this piece a title, so I'm calling this The Flower Farmers. And that's because this is the little world I'm imagining for them. Like, these are little critters who live in a giant world of big flowers, and their jobs, or maybe not even jobs, but just like a task they do is gathering bits of material from the giant flowers. I think that's really charming. I'm working on an inspiration journal right now, which is just like a book I can flip through full of pictures of things that inspire me. And I am trying to film that. I just haven't finished it yet. And in doing that, I'm finding out a lot of things that I love, that I knew but were kind of hard to define before. So picture books are obviously a really big inspiration for me, and they were something I loved a lot as a kid. There are a few specific ones that were really special to me, and I don't know. I'm not going to go through the whole list of inspiration for this, but obviously like the busy world of Richard Scarry with like little animals just like doing their jobs and living everyday life. But also, I don't know if you know Jan Brett, that's an illustrator, and I was looking at her work. I was looking it up online. I'm like, am I remembering the right thing? But she was definitely one of a couple of artists who did some similar things in the 90s when I was a kid that had like, there would be the main story going on, and then there would be a tiny story happening simultaneously in the like the margins or small parts of the page. And I loved that. So I think all of what I'm painting here and a couple of pieces I did similar to this is about like, there may be a big story happening up in the proportional world of these flowers, but simultaneously there is a tiny story happening down by the roots, and it's little tiny dogs and cats and bunnies with little baskets and little bears. I don't know. It's just so precious to me. And it's I don't know. I had to do like some applications recently where I had to write some like theory behind my work, and there is like a lot of childhood nostalgia. Like that's obviously a big part of it, but there's also a sense of safety. Like I felt these kind of worlds that I read or looked at as a kid in stories felt very safe, and that's because they didn't carry a lot of the anxieties of adulthood that other things did. Like I was very terrified of growing up, and not because I also was extremely excited to grow up because I don't think I was great at being a kid. I digress. It was like, I can't wait to grow up, but oh my god, I'm terrified to grow up kind of feeling. And these fictional worlds made versions of a life that didn't seem as scary as what I perceived as the real world having. And I think there's a lot more I could say about that. Like it's very interesting, maybe what this is about me, but just kind of broadly, I think it is interesting in the kind of comfort you can get from a fictional world, a fantastical one. And I don't think that stops when you're a child. I think I still very much enjoy these things and letting my imagination take flight. So that's a long-winded way of saying that this is just a picture, it's not a book, but there is narrative there. And I think it's fun to pull it apart, not just what it is, but also what it could be and what it can mean to you. And sometimes it is also just pretty flowers. Sometimes it doesn't have to be that deep, but I don't know, it can be. Anyways, those are my think pieces about this painting. I hope you enjoyed watching it. I'll show you the finished result momentarily. I'm struggling to figure out how to get in frame here because if I sit down, I'm like way down here. If I stand up, I'm like way up here. So I'm just going to like hunch. Hey, this is the finished painting. I hope you like it. I actually finished this several weeks ago, and I realized as I was editing this video, I didn't show you the finished work. Like I kind of did, but I didn't really. So this is the finished painting. I don't know what I'm going to say in the voiceover for the video yet, so I won't talk too much about the process, but I'll talk about how I feel about it. I really like it, and I think it's very cute. I've done a lot of paintings since then that this was a really important starting point for, like in terms of stylistic development and all that stuff. I also was really proud of myself for painting big, which this is for me quite big. There are some things about it I don't love, which I struggled with during the making of it, like using the pen to outline certain elements. I don't think it looks bad, especially like, yeah, I think it's very cute. None of it's bad. I am not, I have some feelings about the background, the sort of greenish background, the shape it took, it's difficult doing a colored background, painting it on after, but I wanted to preserve I didn't want a green tint to everything, so I had to do it after. Anyways, my original thinking was that I was going to film this video and then I would post this when this was available as a print. It's not available yet because I'm doing a shop update beginning of March is my plan. And this will probably be part of it. The reason it's not even ready to go yet, aside from just that's what my update is that this is bigger than my scanner. I didn't realize that. So I'm gonna have to take this. I think the scanner at the public library is actually big enough to handle this. So this will not fit on my home scanner, which is good to know for future future paintings on this size paper. Anyway, so that's it. I think it's really cute. I hope you like it. Is it in focus? I hope so. I'm proud of it. I think it's charming. And this was an important piece in my personal development for this next collection. And therefore I'm happy. Thanks for watching. Please give me a like on this video if you haven't already. Subscribe if you haven't already. I really appreciate you being here. And I hope that we can continue to grow as artists together. Okay, bye.